Welcome to the 310 to Left podcast. So glad you could join us. This is episode 61 and number one for Lenny DiNardo in the offseason. Is that correct?
That is correct. 61. Let's see. Bronson Arroyo. Is that Bronson's number?
It is Bronson's number. Yeah, your good buddy Bronson Arroyo wore number 61 for the Boston Red Sox back in the day. And we will go down memory lane maybe a little bit, talking about past winter meetings because the winter meetings are upon us, maybe talking about the 2014, which we've talked a lot about in 2024, the 20th anniversary. Is anything and everything is on the table right now, Lenny, because we don't really have any official news yet for the Red Sox this offseason. They've made one signing, Justin Wilson, a reliever, who could provide some depth in that bullpen and could provide a left-handed piece for the Red Sox this coming season in 2025. But before we get to all that, man, I just want to know how Lenny's doing. I want to know how Lenny DiNardo is doing on this fine December morning, months removed from his last gig as, pre and post studio analyst for NESN. How is Lenny?
Well, Adam, I'm glad you asked, but it's pretty much business as usual. It's what you'd expect a former left-handed pitcher. What would I be doing right now in my den talking new? I was about to feed my tarantula before we went on. Do you guys want to see this? Let me just. I'll take you over to. This is Cinnamon. This is my pet tarantula. I don't know if you can see her right there. That is. I don't know if you can see her, but she's right there.
She's camera shy. Oh, wait a minute. That's her right there.
That's her right there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, all right. What? Why?
So her name is Cinnamon. She's an Arizona blonde. That's the type of tarantula she is. She eats crickets and cockroaches, and she basically just sits around looking pretty all day. So, yeah.
Okay. When did you get her? When did you get
Cinnamon? I got Cinnamon a few weeks ago. And if she were to bite you, which is not likely, they're pretty docile. The sting itself really feels like a bee sting from what I hear. So it's not like the movies where you go into shock and you get eaten by a tarantula. It's basically just I think she's a cool pet, and she's a great addition to the two dogs and 4 cats and a chicken that we already have.
What inspired you to bring a tarantula into the DiNardo household?
Well, my little brother actually breeds jumping spiders, and he has a wide variety of not only jumping spiders, but tarantulas down in Florida as well. He's got a ton of them. So, I got to talking to him, and he was sending me cool videos of his spiders. I mean, some of these things are huge, massive spiders. Some are really, really small. And it just piqued my interest. I thought it would be something cool to kind of show the kids, get them wanting to learn about science and things like that. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You don't have to take them for walks. They're super easy. It's basically like caring for a plant.
My brother breeds jumping spiders are words that I've never heard come out of anybody's mouths in my entire life. How does one come to breed jumping spiders? And I know this is a baseball podcast, but I mean, this is a revelation here. You have a tarantula. Your brother breeds jumping spiders. I don't know what's going on with you since baseball ended.
Yeah, I'm doing anything and everything I can to get my mind off what's going to happen with this Red Sox club. I'm doing strange things over here, but I'm left-handed. It's par for the course. He's left-handed too, my younger brother. So what are you going to do?
You guys come from the silly side, no question.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's quite interesting, Lenny. I'll be honest with you. So did not expect to hear that. You did mention the Red Sox offseason. By the way, as our NESN viewers know, I am in it right now with hockey and the Boston Bruins. I've been entrenched in that really since the start of training camp, start of captain's practices, really, which goes back to mid-September. And so while I have been keeping tabs on the Red Sox and all the offseason stuff, I have not been really I haven't been entrenched in it, right? Let's say that. I've been paying attention, but I haven't been entrenched. I have been paying attention, obviously, as we all have, watching and waiting to see what happens with Juan Soto. That has become really an interesting development over the course of the offseason, Lenny. And we've seen the rumors flying out there on social media, man. We've seen all these reports. You have to sort of wade through all that BS. Some of it might not be BS. You never know, right? Because sometimes the news breaks from random sources, and you have to kind of pay attention to everything that's being said on social media just so you're up to speed. Now, it might not be, it might not come to fruition, some of these things we're seeing, but then again, they might have some validity to them because, everybody has, source maybe, like within like the organization or somebody who knows somebody else who heard something like might actually be legit. But what we do know, here's what we do know for sure, is that the Red Sox are involved. The Red Sox are very much involved. They've already met with Juan Soto. The reports are that they had a very good meeting with Soto. There are reports that David Ortiz was very much a part of that because he has a relationship with Juan Soto. And obviously, there's the Dominican Republic connection there. So I guess we'll just start off like this, Lenny. What are your thoughts on the prospect of Juan Soto being a member of the Red Sox in 2025 and well beyond?
Well, you're talking about a future Hall of Famer. You talk about an outstanding bat, an outstanding outfielder. But, talk about weeds, talk about what to believe, what not to believe. When I first heard it, my first thought was, you're out of your mind. There's no way this is going to happen. I just don't see it. It's not the way the Red Sox roll now as far as spending money. But then they just kept lingering. They kept coming back to the Red Sox are in it. There's like two, maybe three teams, the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox. And then that guy came out on Twitter and said, it's already done. Just wait a few days. Well, a few days have passed. I mean, we don't have anything written in stone quite yet. But having a guy like that kind of would show Red Sox Nation that this Red Sox club is in fact full throttle. And having a guy like you mentioned and David Ortiz out there actively recruiting a guy that could be an impact bat just like Ortiz from the left side can't hurt you, right? And I'm sure he's telling Soto what we all knew as players, that there's no place like Boston when you go and win a World Series. And he might be the piece or one of a few pieces that the Red Sox need to kind of go out there and get to the next level, the level that Red Sox Nation's been kind of hoping for since they got to the playoffs last in 21. And
Yeah,
and
generational talent, a generational talent, right?
absolutely.
I mean,
And
a
some of the
centerpiece.
things I'm thinking, yeah, some of the things I'm hearing is they're telling Soto that, listen, if you sign with us, you're not going to be alone. We're going to go out there and we're going to get other pieces around you to go out there and help us win ball games. Defensively, I keep hearing Bregman, keep hearing Alex Bregman's name out there, possibly playing third base. That would probably push Devers to maybe first base, which is going to help the Red Sox in the long run, probably extend his career a little bit too, maybe help him concentrate with the offensive approach as well. Which leaves Casas possibly, we're talking possibly here, maybe
Yeah,
open for a trade. So there are pieces that, the domino effect could happen, it could occur. But either way, having these rumors circle around a guy like Soto, who's going to get a pretty penny as far as a contract, is positive, because we haven't really seen that or heard that in quite some time from a Red Sox organization.
north of $600 million could be the number for Juan Soto, which would just be mind blowing. But again, these contracts, as we see, they set the market right for the cream of the crop, the top of the mountain, and Juan Soto. I'll be honest with you, Lenny, was not on my radar as a possibility for the Red Sox when the offseason began, or even going. Like, I mean, you know how, you're covering, the team over the course of the season and you're looking ahead, right? And saying, all right, what's the free agent class look like? And you see that, right? And you look at see Juan Soto's name. It's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That's not going to happen, right? So I'm really surprised that the Red Sox are not just sort of kicking the tires, but they're like going all out, full blown presentation of trying to get this guy to sign based on what we've seen from, reports and people who cover baseball and are respected reporters that they made quite the presentation of Juan Soto. And, it's not to say that I wouldn't want him. I mean, I would want, yes. Just so we're clear, I am all in on Juan Soto in a Red Sox uniform in 2025 and for many years to come. This guy's 25 years old, and you just mentioned it. I mean, he's one of the best hitters in the game, right? And if you look at the numbers, and again, there's a ton of numbers out there, right? And I'm not a big analytics guy, but weighted on base average is a big stat, right? That is a huge stat, and he's top three. All right, it's Judge, it's Ohtani, it's Soto, right? Those three guys. Walk percentage: Judge, Ohtani, Soto. WAR: Judge, Ohtani, Witt Jr., Soto. Want to talk postseason? Okay. He hit 313 in the World Series. OPS over 1,000 in the 5 games for the Yankees. Career in 43 games, 281, 927 OPS, 11 home runs. So is not phased in the spotlight, coming off a 41 home run season, 989 OPS. Playing on the biggest stage in the biggest market in the country. And so that's a consideration when you think about making a commitment to any player, never mind a historic commitment, right? Can they perform on the big stage, in the spotlight, under the microscope, with all of the scrutiny and pressure of playing in a big market, in this case, in playing in Boston, right? Which is, it takes it to a whole new level. And so, the prospect of having Juan Soto in this lineup is just really exciting. And you think about that left field position, right? I mean, that's where he would play, right? I mean, he'd be a left fielder here. I know he's got experience at right field, but you'd probably, you keep Willie Abreu over there if he's still on the roster, because you talk about trade candidates, right? I mean, his name has been floated out there. Just won a Gold Glove. Garrett Crochet, we'll get to the pitching, is a name that's out there in terms of improving the rotation. But I mean, you could have, if Abreu's there, you have Soto, Duran, and Abreu as your outfield, right? And we haven't even mentioned Rafael, right? Where would he play, right? Would he be a second baseman? I don't know. I mean, that's why the offseason is so great. That's why the hot stove baseball is the best, because you talk about all these moving parts and these possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, so much could happen. And you talk about the numbers. Those are the things that are kind of blatant, right? But the things you can't teach, you hit on this too. You can't teach a guy to perform in places like New York, in places like Boston, in places where, if you, and I said this before, if you lose, the fans don't eat dinner that night. They look at you and they expect so much. These are the things you can't teach. And to have a guy with a resume that proves he can go out there and get it done in the clutch situations, that's very, very, very valuable. And a guy like Soto, it's hard to believe he's only 25 years old. It seems like he's been in the league for so long. He's very consistent. Goes out there, and we talked about Rafael Devers for a long time, since he's come up in 2017. Listen, Soto is that guy. And to have two guys in the lineup like that, both from the left side, it'd be incredible. It'd be an incredible pickup for the Red Sox. And, like you were saying before, we didn't really think this was kind of on the radar because, again, he's a left-handed bat. We've always heard they need a right-handed bat. They have a ton of outfielders. They have a ton of outfielders in the minor leagues. They have a ton of young outfielders in the big leagues performing at a high level. So we didn't think they're going to go out and get another outfielder because you've got a ton of guys, a backlog. But again, you're not going to turn down Soto. You're just not going to do it because, again, he's going to change the lineup. He's going to provide protection. He's going to give you power numbers. He's going to give you offensive average numbers. He's going to play a great outfield, whether it's the right field corner or the left field corner. This Red Sox club, the whole perception of what they're going to do and what they could do could change depending on if they get a guy of that caliber.
The NBA season is here, and the big question is, will the Celtics repeat and claim banner 19? You can find everything about the NBA and its culture on Nesson's basketball podcast, Hold My Banner, available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, talking about Juan Soto, and I just want to continue that conversation a little bit, Lenny. You mentioned the right-handed bats being a priority for the Red Sox in the offseason, right? And, we talked about why can't they win games at home, right? What's been the biggest issue plaguing this team at home. Well, they give up a lot of home runs. They haven't been playing great defense, but also, there's that 310 to left, so to speak, right? And you obviously like your left-handers to be able to use that wall, but typically a power right-handed bat could really thrive, right, at Fenway Park. And that's why a guy like Tyler O'Neill, had one of his best seasons of his career here. He stayed healthy and he hit 31 home runs. And that's why the Red Sox were interested in Teoscar Hernandez last offseason and may still be interested in Teoscar Hernandez this offseason. Do they need more right-handed pop in the lineup, or does the addition of Soto just say, you know what, we got Juan Soto now, so it doesn't matter?
I think they still do need right-handed hitting. We've seen guys in the past like Turner and Duvall and guys like that come in, veteran guys that just know how to pepper that wall. They're not trying to do too much. We hear that phrase a
JD
lot, but you can see it
Martinez,
in their
right?
swing. JD Martinez. Yeah, guys that aren't trying to leave the park, but they're just trying to knock the wall down. If you take that approach, it's a line drive approach. They use it so well. And you don't want to be too left-handed because it's going to affect what coaches are bringing in late in the game as far as pitching. You don't want, it's just going to hurt the lineup being too left-handed. We've heard that a ton. And I still think even if they did go and get a guy like Soto, you still need some power or at least some average with the possibility of power from the right-handed side just to balance that lineup out.
Yeah, I think that would still be on the radar for the Red Sox. And, you mentioned some of the young guys that are coming up too. It's going to be interesting. I mean, Christian Campbell is a guy that really emerged in the minor league system for the Red Sox, in getting the call up to AAA along with Meyer and Teal and Anthony, obviously, Anthony being the left-handed bat, but yeah, it's going to be, man, I love the offseason. I love the baseball offseason. I'm glad we get to talk about this, man, because, again, I've been covering hockey, and I love covering the Bruins. We just got off a great centennial weekend honoring the 100th anniversary of the Bruins' first game. And, we turn the calendar to December, and you're getting close to about a third of the way through the hockey season. But December also means hot stove baseball is heating up. So I am grateful to be on here talking to you about the Red Sox offseason, the potential of Juan Soto, the potential of some other, big names as well. But as we sort of transition, from Juan Soto to a real need for the Red Sox, and that would be pitching, starting pitching. And I mentioned off the top, the only move so far, Red Sox pitching wise, or any move at all really, is outside of the coaching staff and some moves in front office. Talking about the roster is Justin Wilson, left-handed reliever, veteran left-handed reliever. Hopefully, can provide left-handed presence in the bullpen. Coming off of Tommy John surgery last year, and trying to work his way back. So hopefully, that season last year can sort of get him back into the form that he had before the injury, but. In terms of the starting staff, Lenny, we know one guy that won't be in a Red Sox uniform in 2025, and that's Blake Snell. And, of course, the LA Dodgers come in. They swoop in. They sign him to a 5-year, $182 million deal. So he's off the board, even though he did reportedly meet with the Red Sox, which, again, is a good sign that the Red Sox are serious about investing in this roster this offseason and on the pitching side in particular. But, there's still some names out there, some fairly big names as well. And Corbin Burnes, probably the biggest name, the right-handed pitcher who's with the Orioles, outstanding arm, obviously. And then Max Fried from the left-handed side with the Braves, his whole career, just consistent, in terms of innings pitched. And if you look at the numbers, pretty consistent as well. And then there's a potential trade target in Garrett Crochet, who, became a full-time starter last year with the White Sox. You look at all these guys' baseball savant page, as we like to do when we're getting ready for a game or a series. And when you see all red, man, that's a good thing. And you see a lot of red with these guys.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about a domino effect, and after Snell signed that, what was it, 5 year, $182 million contract? Burnes is kind
Yeah.
of the next guy up, and he's probably going to get over $200 million, or upwards of that amount, close to it. And are the Orioles going to sign a guy like Burnes for that amount of money? It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But if he does go elsewhere, you mentioned a guy like Max Fried. He's probably going to get what, 160, 170, might be a little bit more into their pocketbook. He's a left-handed pitcher. Again, with a good resume, a guy that goes out there and gets it done consistently. You mentioned Crochet. We have pieces in the minor leagues and in the big leagues. We have capital that could hopefully go out there and entice a team like the White Sox to go trade Crochet, because he would be a guy that'd be, again, from the left side. We don't have a lot of left-handed starters in the organization that have competed at the big league level in quite some time. That would be huge. A multi-year guy, still super, super young, that can get it done. A guy you didn't mention, Jack Flaherty. Again,
Yeah.
the Dodgers went after Snell. That means Flaherty's probably not going to sign back. It's not likely he's going to sign back with the
Do we
Dodgers. So
know
he's
that for
another guy.
sure? The Dodgers just
Yeah,
have,
exactly. I mean, we
deep
don't. They're just
pockets,
going to
man.
sign him and put him in AAA at this point. I mean, honestly, did they find a magic lamp, or
Oh,
the end of a rainbow or something? What are they doing?
it's
It's
unbelievable.
incredible.
It really
Yeah,
is. And they're
but I
even in the
mean,
mix with Soto. They're in the mix with Soto too.
yeah, yeah, and
How?
if you look at the 2023 winter meetings, the two big splashes that stick out for me are Otani and Soto, Dodgers and Yankees. Now,
Yeah.
remind me, how did those teams do last season in the playoffs?
Right.
Did they go pretty? They
Right.
went pretty far, right?
Not to
So it
mention
kind of
Yamamoto,
proves
right? Yamamoto.
exactly. Yeah, they're
Hmm.
signing all these guys, and talent's talent, money's money. I get it. I get it. Money's money, and but when it's a gamble, but the percentages kind of go in your favor when you're signing so many talented arms and so many talented bats, and you're getting both of those with Otani. So I feel like, yeah, Moneyball's great. Moneyball's great, good movie, but at the end of the day, you got to go out and get talent. Talent costs money, and I think that approach is what's going to end up getting the Red Sox back into contention, back into play postseason baseball.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that, right? And you could talk about homegrown talent all you want, and it's important. I'm not minimizing it in any way, shape, or form, but more often than not, you need to go out and invest in a couple of important pieces at least to solidify your roster. And you can go back to every World Series champion and you can point to those moves, right? And you can point to the Astros and say, you know what? They went out and got Verlander. They went out and got Cole, right? And they won a World Series. Now, they had complementary pieces and they had important pieces on their roster. I mean, I'm not, again, homegrown talent like Carlos Correa back in the day and Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve. Sure, absolutely. Big part of what they did. But that wasn't going to get it done alone, right? And so they needed to go out and get those guys. And then you have the Rays, who are, consistently in the playoffs, for the most part. Their farm system's outstanding, but they've never gotten to that next level, right? They've made it to the World Series, they've made it to the postseason, but they haven't won the whole thing yet. And so you look at the teams that have won, and you can point to an investment, whether it's a trade, whether it's a free agent signing or two, and say, yep, that's what got them over the top. And so, to your point, you look at the Dodgers and Yankees, who are obviously big spenders. They were the two in the World Series last year, and that's usually what it takes to win a championship. And now, after a few years of not doing that, and again, the Red Sox did make a commitment to Rafael Devers, a big commitment. So it's important to point that out as well. But the spending hasn't been as big as you would like it as a fan, right? Because for the most part, that's what it takes to get to the next level. And the other thing that's good is that the Red Sox now have some trade capital because their farm system has improved over the last few years, and they have some prospects that they can use as trade chips, or they can continue to develop and hope that they have a role at the major league level.
Yeah, it's always a gamble if a minor leaguer is going to go out there and kind of reach their full potential, go out there and be Hall of Fame talent big leaguers. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, right? So prospects, even young players in the big leagues, it's capital, right? It's capital you can either use to go out and get other players that have proven big league pedigrees, or wait on it. And I think the Red Sox have been waiting for a long time, and they have tons of minor league players and big league players that are super young that have gotten to the level, that are about to get to the big league level and contribute. But again, if you look at teams that go out and acquire free agents, what do these teams do toward the end of the season? They tend to steamroll, right? They're not slowing down at the end of the season. These are teams that get better. These are teams that get that second, third wind, and they're playing their best baseball into August and September. And what we've seen from the Red Sox the past few years is they've gotten a little bit tired. You can see them just a little bit lethargic, whether it's the bats last season, whether it was the bullpens last season. The starters throughout the season excelled. They did dip a little bit at the midpoint, right after, I believe, it was the All-Star break. But throughout the season, I feel like they really exceeded expectations, especially the expectations that we were talking about preseason. Before last season, it was we just didn't know what they were going to give us. And again, when you go out and you get proven arms, guys that have gotten it done year after year, those are the guys that are going to be the difference makers towards the end of the year. And it's not necessarily the best team that wins the World Series. It's the team that gets hottest at the right time. And those proven guys are what helps organizations and teams go out there and not only get hot, but continue to get hot when it counts the most, essentially, right? When you get into the dog days and help the team not just kind of linger on and get tired. That's not a good feeling after the All-Star break, the trade deadline, where you can just see a team kind of flounder out there and not continue to get better.
Yeah, I know. And that's happened to the Red Sox, right? No doubt about that. They've made, this past season, they did make some investment in some bullpen help, and it didn't end up working out for them. Obviously, position player wise, Danny Jansen was the only real move that they made, trying to bring in a right-handed bat, can catch. But other than that, we haven't seen that big splash, and we've seen the Red Sox dip in August and continue to dip in September. This year finished 81-81, and again, the offseason is it's going to be interesting. I don't think I've seen this much smoke around big name signings with the Red Sox for a long time. And so that's why I think that a lot of people are thinking potentially that this offseason could be different. Want to hear about all the Boston sports? Check out Nesson's Daily Sports Podcast. Boston has entered the chat. You can enter the conversation by calling the Nesson Podcast hotline at 617-790-0928 or email the chat at Nesson.com. Boston has entered the chat is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, Adam Peller and Lenny DiNardo here with you on this early December day, talking about the Red Sox offseason, baseball offseason, the Red Sox roster possibilities, the rotation. Now, you mentioned the rotation, Lenny, and again, I love playing these hypothetical games in the offseason, right? If you add this guy, how does that affect the rest of the rotation? Does this guy belong in the rotation, or is he better suited as, a guy out of the bullpen in a long relief role? So let's play that game. Let's play that game. Why not? All right. So we have a Red Sox rotation going into the year. Now, it's important to point out that Nick Pivetta, it looks like he's looking for a better deal elsewhere. Red Sox declined his option, so or that was the other way around. Pivetta declined the Red Sox
qualifying offer. Yes.
Qualifying offer. That's what it was. Excuse me. Yep. Reds declined the Red Sox qualifying offer. So he's going to free agency. So it looks like his days in Boston are done, but you never know. You never know. But let's just assume they are. And we talk about the rotation. So you got Tanner Houck, and you mentioned the rotation, Lenny. Came out of the gates hot, and you're like, wow, this is great, right? This is maybe this is them turning the corner. And obviously, between injuries and guys sort of slowing down, water maybe reaching its level a little bit, that sort of leveled off, and then the bullpen had its issues, and so that became an issue. But Tanner Houck, first All-Star appearance last year. He was a Cy Young candidate in the first half of the year. Had a really rough start to the second half. They skipped him in the rotation. Did end up finishing the year career highs across the board. So you got him in the rotation. You have Brian Bayo, who was really, after the All-Star break, one of the most consistent starters, I'd say, in the Red Sox rotation. Again, not lights out, still, learning. Pitching, confidently, going after hitters, I think was a big thing for him, and not trying to be too cute. And so, he had a good year, I think, overall, in terms of his development. Then Cutter Crawford, who was one of those guys that came out of the gates red hot, and had a big time issue with the home run ball when the second half of the year started. Was able to fix that, gave him some quality starts down the stretch for sure. And then you have Garrett Whitlock, who started hot, had the season-ending injury. Lucas Giolito, who never saw the mound for the Red Sox. And that right there, as we talk today, I believe would be your starting rotation. Now, if you're able to add any of these guys to the mix, like a Fried, like a Crochet, like a Burnes, right? They automatically go to the top of that rotation, right? So with that said, Lenny, if they go out and get one of those guys, who comes out of the rotation and into the bullpen?
Well, first let me start like this. Last year they were 81 and 81. So you're talking about maybe 10 games. If you can pick up 10 games from last year to this year, I feel like that's completely possible if you go out there and A, get a top of the line arm, right? And B, clean it up defensively, specifically in the infield, right? If you clean it up in the infield and you have a top of the line starter, there's an absolute chance you can pick up 10 or more games. It's going to be night and day, right? So if I had to pick someone to go in the bullpen that was in the rotation last year, I mean, maybe Crawford. I feel like Crawford's kind of a guy that can do it both. He's a guy that can go out and fill innings mid game. He can save the bullpen, come in the second, third, fourth inning, and really fill in. I feel like they like Bayo in the starting rotation. He's kind of he hasn't reached his potential. There's more positives to take from last season than negatives, but I feel like this next season will kind of tell us where he's at. Is he in fact a top of the line starting pitcher? There's a reason why the Red Sox signed him long term, right? I feel like they want him to kind of be that guy, and he shouldn't be a 4 and a high 4 or a low 5 ERA guy with his stuff. And you mentioned attacking hitters, not trying to be too cute out there. He's got an upper echelon fastball, 95, 96 miles an hour. His changeup is lights out. He mixed in the slider, and I feel like that got better towards the end of the season too. But he just has to go out there and have that little something else on the mound mentally, the intensity. I feel like it was unfair that we're comparing him to Pedro Martinez. Everybody did when he first came up because he looked just like him mechanically and he had the same sort of stuff. That's a lot of pressure on a young kid, right? And the difference between Bayo and Pedro was, listen, don't look at Pedro. If you look at him funny on the mound, you know what he's going to do. He's going to knock you down. And that's intimidating for hitters when you've got 96 to 98 at your chin at any given moment. And then the next pitch is completely dotted on the outer half. And now let's even talk about the secondary pitches, which are ridiculous, right? Bayo needs to go out there and know how good he is. That's what Pedro did. Pedro took the ball, and every day he knew he was the best player on the field. Every 5 days, he knew he was the best. And that's why it was must-see TV every 5 days. Right. So I want Bayo to go out there and turn the switch on. I want him to get mean out there. I want him to be able to have that little bit of insaneness that Pedro had every 5 days. I feel like that's going to make him a better pitcher. It's going to make him attack the zone and trust his stuff that much better. You talked about Tanner Houck. This is a guy that we didn't think Possibly he's a starting pitcher. He had so many issues getting through the lineup the third time around. He cleaned that up. He cleaned it up. I feel like a lot of that has to do with that third pitch, that split changeup that he throws, because everything kind of goes into the lefty. The slider, the sweeper, the four seam just kind of stays glove side for him. But to have that third pitch that kind of lingers arm side, keeps everybody honest, helped him out a lot. And again, pounding the strike zone, kind of limiting walks is going to be key for him as well. Because toward the end of the season, when he started to fail a little bit more than he did previously, it had to do with walks. He just started walking more batters as an absolute trend. You can see in the later months, the walks went up. And if you're giving away free bags, you can't give away hits, right? It just doesn't add up because you're going to score runs and it's not going to be good for you.
So you mentioned potentially moving Crawford, to the bullpen. Now that's interesting. You say that, and I wonder, was that based on not having Whitlock in the rotation last year, or is that with Whitlock in the bullpen with him? In other words.
Yeah, I want to say Whitlock's going to be in the pen as well. I feel like he's better out of the pen. I feel like you're going to get the most out of him. You're going to keep him on the field as well, which is key for Whitlock. And imagine if you had a guy.
I know they gave him that contract, and they tried him in the starting rotation. And I thought last year he was. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is the first time that he went into spring training knowing he would be in the starting rotation. And he was stretched out like a starter in spring training, and he started in the starting rotation. I believe the other years it was, all right, you're in the bullpen, and then we're going to try to stretch you out as a starter during the year, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of, whatever you need, right? I know he always wanted to be a starter. I've heard him say that he wants to be a starter, but he also on the other side of the coin says, listen, if they want me in the bullpen, I'll be in the bullpen, which is the right mentality. It's the right way to take it.
He's the one that said that he'd be the janitor.
He'd be the janitor on the team. Yes, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
You do whatever the team needs. And I appreciate that. I respect that. But I want him on the field. And I feel like there's a higher likelihood that he's going to be pitching the whole season if it's out of the bullpen. He's an extremely hard worker. But yeah. So having a guy like Crawford, having a guy like Whitlock in the pen on right-handed pitchers, if you sign a guy like Chris Martin, which in all likelihood 25 is probably going to be his last year. I think he came out and said 25 is probably it. I'm going to hang him after that. This is a strike thrower. This is a guy that when he's out there competing in the strike zone has upper echelon stuff. He throws what I like to call the invisible. Just people swing right through it. And then at the back end of that, Liam Hendricks. This is a guy they signed a 2-year deal to get him healthy to go out there and hopefully there's still some juice in the tank, so to speak, and you can go out there and get it done at the anchor position at the end of ball games.
As the closer. Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting, right? Because Justin Slayton sort of emerged as a guy who could be potentially closing games for the Red Sox moving forward. And I think that might be an interesting situation to watch unfold in spring training as the season goes along, because Hendricks did come back and then got shut down towards the end of the year. And then there's Lucas Giolito too that we hadn't talked about, Lenny, because that was the free agent signing to bolster the rotation last year, 2-year deal, and obviously the season-ending injury, and he's got to be ready to go in spring training, I believe. And so that's going to be one to watch too. He was somebody who was very good at Chicago, then got traded to the Angels in 2023. Things sort of fell apart for him, but it was sort of ready to hit the reset button with the Red Sox. And then the injury derailed those plans, and so looking forward to seeing what he. And I, by the way, have you met him?
Not personally, no.
Have you been around him?
What are we referring to? Yeah. Oh, he's a big guy. Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
He came on the Jimmy Fund Radio Telethon, graciously donating his time, and he walks in And I'm like, who is this monster? Like, I hadn't seen him. So, like, again, like I've been with the Bruins, right? And so, like, during spring training, I've been with the Bruins and not at spring training the last couple of years. And so usually I'm sort of in the Red Sox mix once the season starts. And obviously Giolito, with the season-ending injury, I didn't get a chance to meet him or see him until the Jimmy Fund Radio Telethon, and this guy walks in and he is enormous. And so I don't know. That was just a little side note. I didn't know if you had met him before, because you're not a small man, but like, he's huge.
Yes. Yeah, he's an imposing figure on the mound. And this is a guy I'm really looking forward to seeing what he will do with Andrew Bailey. Because Bailey's kind of the guy and it's a perfect fit in my mind, getting a guy like Giolito who struggled coming in, but this is a guy that posts. This is a guy previous to the injury. He's a 30-plus start guy for 3 seasons in a row. He's a guy that's proven that he has us up to go out there and get it done. But with Bailey, Bailey's the type of guy where he'll have a conversation with Giolito and he'll say, listen, if you throw this pitch more, or if you throw this pitch less, or if you throw this pitch in this location during these times, these counts, or if you get into these counts more often, this is likely what's going to happen. This is what's going to make you more successful. Right? Having a guy like that in your corner that's going to get the most out of you, because that's what he needs. We've seen this stuff in previous years. Now that he's healthy, he's going to come back stronger than before. We've seen that the way they had Tommy John surgery. You're going to come back absolutely stronger than before. So using what you have physically along with what Bailey's going to help him with mentally and on the mound and approach wise, I'm really curious and excited to see what he's going to bring to this Red Sox rotation now that he's healthy.
All right, so if it's Burnes, Crochet, or Fried, who would you take? I think all three would be welcome, right? I would want all three. I'll start. I'll probably go with Burnes. Then I'd go with Crochet because of the age, right? And not a lot of innings in the tank. And then Fried. And if it's Fried, awesome. But I like the idea of Crochet, even though you have to give up something, right? Like you have to make a trade and give up some of your assets rather than just sort of, money and signing a free agent. But I feel like, having a 25-year-old pitcher, a big left-handed pitcher who throws absolute gas in your starting rotation for years to come, that is an exciting prospect.
Yeah. And if you're the Dodgers, you sign everybody. Right? I'll take all the above. D. Right? We'll just get them all just in case. Right? But like you said, Crochet, the age factor, having him for that many years is very intriguing. I'm okay with giving whatever up right now in order to get a guy of that caliber. I feel like everybody could be on the chopping block. Like I said before, there's so much capital out there in the minor leagues and even in the big leagues right now that we'd be okay as a Red Sox organization. Right, giving up some of these minor leaguers, and even guys that have contributed to get a guy like that, a guy long term. Burnes, a right-handed pitcher with that caliber, the guy that just posts all the time, would be incredible. If you get both those guys, you get a lefty and a righty for multi years. Now you go out and spend. Well, you spend actual money to get a guy like Burnes, and then you spend your capital to get a guy like Crochet. And nothing against Fried. Right? I think a left-handed guy in Fried would be outstanding. But a guy that I mentioned before, Jack Flaherty, this is another guy that's probably going to command less monetarily than all these other guys that we talked about. So he's a guy, another sleeper that could go out there and help out if you wanted to be a little bit more frugal, so to speak.
Yeah. Maybe the play is Crochet and Flaherty. Right? Maybe that's the play.
I'd be all over that. Absolutely. I think that would be outstanding. I feel a lot of people would be happy getting those two guys into the rotation.
Yeah.
10 games. That's what we're looking for. 10 games. Yeah. Can we pick up 10 games? I think it's doable.
Exactly. Hey, who's playing second base, by the way?
I mean, in the future, it's probably going to be Christian Campbell in the future. I've heard a lot of good things. Is it going to be at the beginning of the season? I don't know. If you did, in fact, put Rafael there, you're going to get a Gold Glove caliber second baseman, right?
Yeah, I keep Rafael, man. The way this is shaking out, I mean, I know Vaughn Grissom was the guy at the beginning of the year. He got hurt, and then that all that changed. You saw a lot of Romy Gonzalez. You saw Nick Sogard. Saw Manuel Valdez, You saw all these guys.
That's the problem right there.
Yeah.
That's the problem right there. You just rattled off 4 or 5 guys in a row. You need a talented player there that's going to be at that second base position 160 games, 162 games. You need someone there that's going to post. Having a rotation of guys taking the 4 spot is just not good. It's not good. And again, I mentioned this before, but how about Bregman? How about Bregman at third? How about that infield? Bregman, Story, Rafael, Devers at first.
Love that. I would love that.
Love it.
I love that for
That
so
would
many
fix
reasons.
your defense.
Yeah, Bregman's a very good third baseman. Can provide offense, right-handed bat, and then moving Devers over to the right side of the infield at first base. I would love that because Bregman's a guy he's got winning DNA. You know.
Yes. Yep. He's another guy that shines bright when it counts.
Yep. Bregman would be good. What about Arenado is another name that's been floated out there as a possible trade. I don't know about that one. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for Arenado because I think he's still owed like $80 million or something over 3 years. He's in his mid-30s. He still plays. I mean, the offensive numbers went down. He still plays a pretty good third, not as much range. But what about that one?
Yeah, you want to, I mean, in my mind, I feel like you want to get a guy that's still kind of going on his way up. And if not going down, kind of peaking at the right time, right? And who knows? Again, that is a lot of money. I feel like that money could be allotted to go out there and get a starting pitcher rather than a third baseman. It's important, yeah, but if you're going to go out and spend, I feel like getting a top quality number 1 or number 2 would be a priority in my book as far as spending.
All right. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun this offseason. All right. Want the latest on the Patriots in the NFL? Drake May needs help. He needs help. And we discuss how he can get it quick on Nesson's Football Podcast, Foxborough Rush, available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right. Just have you been watching the Patriots? Yeah, I know you are just an all baseball all the time guy. Like, I mean, I don't even know if you know what a hockey puck looks like, to be honest.
I've got a hockey puck somewhere around here from the Railers. I dropped the puck in a Railers game a couple years back, and I kept the puck, and so I do know what it looks like. But yeah, you're right. Don't ask me about any other sport other than baseball. That's what I've been immersed in since I've been 5 years old. As far as other sports, you wouldn't want to see me play them, and you wouldn't want to see me talk about them. It's just not me.
Really?
I'll talk about tarantulas. I mean,
clearly you're a weirdo. But you never played any other sports growing up?
I mean, I played basketball in middle school, and this is, you're talking 3, maybe 4 years, and I had a blast. But yeah, once I got to high school, that's it. It was all baseball all the time. And I'm not condoning that. I want kids to go out there and be versatile, play all the sports. But for me, it's just, I feel
Don't be like me, kids. Don't be a one-trick pony.
Don't be like me.
A lefty specialist.
The only reason I didn't play all the sports is because maybe I tried them and it wasn't good. Wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love how I make fun of you and I never played Major League Baseball. You know, like I was like, oh yeah, real good at them. Yeah.
Raise your hand if your senior superlative was most athletic. Raise your hand if. Yeah. There you go.
Well, I mean, I had to play.
I did that playing one sport.
I had to be mediocre in 3 sports in order to. I earned that. Man. That's funny. All right, so we only got a couple minutes left. All right, so 310 to left drops once a week. Okay, so it's gonna drop the first week of December. There'll be another episode next week, right? That's week to week. Is Juan Soto a member of the Red Sox the next time 310 to left drops, or is there a big signing or a big move by the Red Sox in time for the next episode?
Yes, on both. Oh! I'm going to say the Red Sox. Yeah, exactly. You heard it here first. I'm going all in. I'm going to say that Juan Soto is a member of the Red Sox, and yeah, I'm going there.
I
And there's
love
going to be a big starting pitcher signing.
Okay. In time for the
I'm
next
going
episode or just in general?
Just in general. The starting pitcher in general, but Soto's going to sign.
Next episode. Soto's going to be on the next episode. All right. So I don't know who's hosting 310 to Left next week. I don't know if we have the schedule that far in advance. I don't know if TC's up in Maine doing whatever he does up in Maine.
He's kicking the soccer ball. He's kicking the soccer ball.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely kicking the soccer ball, getting ready for soccer season, no question. All right, so you know what they're going to do. So this is pre-producing on my part. All right, this is the producer and me. All right, I ask you that question at the end of the show because even though we're not going to be on the show, I don't think we'll be on the show next week. They're going to play this clip of us talking about this after Juan Soto signs with the Red Sox. And they're going to be, whoever's host, Jemai's going to be like, oh man, it's crazy. Like last week, Lenny was just saying that by the time the next 310 to Left episode drops, Juan Soto's going to be a Red Sox. Check it out. And then it plays this little sequence. And I hope they start with us talking about me being most athletic in high school. And then they get into the Juan Soto prediction.
What did Short Round say in Indiana Jones? Fame and glory. Going for the glory. I'm going all out and saying, listen, you got to go all in, right? And if it doesn't work out, I'll look like an idiot for 5 minutes, right? But I'm not alone out there. Just open Twitter. Yeah.
I actually think that they should play this clip regardless. If they don't sign him, then they can make you look dumb. And then if they do sign him, they make you look like a genius. Either way, this is going to get traction. So that's great.
I'm willing to take that gamble.
Hey, listen, I had a great time seeing you. We haven't talked really much. We've texted back and forth a little bit since the end of the Red Sox season, but it was good seeing you. And it was good doing the show, talking a little hot stove.
Yeah, absolutely. I last time we talked, I feel like I wished you your happy 45th birthday. Glad to have you part of the 45 club now. Don't look a day over 44. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Club 45 is open for business, but it closes early because we have to go to bed early. So there you go. That's what happens.
That is true. I know about that.
But listen, good times, my friend. And I guess with that, we will wrap up the 310 to Left podcast. We'd like to thank Cinnamon, the tarantula, as a special guest star on 310 to Left. And for Lenny DiNardo, I'm Adam Pellerin. We'll see you next time. Maybe Soto will be a Red Sox by the time you listen to the next episode. Who knows?
Take it to the bank.